Hello friends, today we have more fall decor DIYs. I'm using Dollar Tree styrofoam pumpkins and some scrap wood to make budget-friendly decor. I'm going to give you a sneak peek preview. Does this look like decor on a budget? I don't think so. I have 5 DIYs for you in this video today. Let's get started. All of these DIYs today are going to be using these styrofoam pumpkins from the Dollar Tree. So I'm going to start by taking the stem out. I'm going to cut a little hole in the center. These pumpkins are hollow. And then I'm going to take Sandy Blonde by DIY Paint, and I'm going to coat the entire pumpkin with Sandy Blonde because I'm going to be using these corn husks that I got at Dollar Tree after the season last year on clearance. And if there's any gaps in between these husks, I don't want the orange to shine through. So if a little bit of this Sandy Blonde shines through, it'll just look natural. So I'm going to take these husks and I'm going to glue them at the top. I'm going to glue them at the bottom. Now they are kind of stiff. If you wanted to soak them in a little bit of water to soften them up, you probably could, but I really didn't want to work with wet corn husks with my painted surface. So what I did was, see how it just popped right up? So what I did was I got out some little straight pins. I have a little container of, it just kept popping up on me. I got a little container of straight pins. And I just pinned them at the top and pinned them at the bottom. And I glued it too. But I used the straight pins to kind of hold it down. A little extra added security. You're going to see in just a little bit. I worked with it for a little bit. And then I got the straight pins out. Now, I went in those where the surface was indented. The grooves. I kind of went in there first, and then I went back in and filled in. Well, I don't know. There's really no rhyme or reason to how I did this. I just went around, and then I went back and filled in over the tops because it just worked better that way. I don't know. That's just how I did it. So I did this entire pumpkin using that method. So see, I just went around a little bit, and then I came back, and when we get done, you're not going to see those little pins at all. And then I just came back around and used the shorter pieces to do those overlays on top. So, and if there were some little pieces that hung out, I didn't mind because it just made it look a little more rustic. Now I had these leaves in my stash that I've had in there for a long time. And then I had this little piece of a branch that I cut off that tree out in my yard. It's not really a tree, it's kind of a bush. And I just poked that down in there with those leaves. I'm going to use a little bit of Spanish moss here in just a little bit. I'm going to glue that leaf down so it quits popping up. A little bit of Spanish moss, and that's all we're going to do to this little DIY. This was so easy. I think it's so cute. Oh, no, no, no. Oh, no, I'm not done yet. I am going to keep poking Spanish moss around here for just a little bit longer, but I took some DIY dark wax. Okay, I just had a little bit left on my brush from a previous project, and I just rubbed it all over these corn husks. It looks like I'm rubbing really hard. I'm not rubbing really hard. I'm gently rubbing, and I'm rubbing that to darken up those husks a little bit. Okay, let's grab another one of these styrofoam pumpkins out of my stash. Yes, I had all of these in my stash. I didn't even buy any. Now, I'm going to grab some aluminum foil. Yep, I'm coming back to the aluminum foil to make some more aluminum foil pumpkins. I really loved this technique that I used in a video a couple weeks ago. And so I'm going to use it again, and you will probably see me use it again and again on some other projects. So I'm just going to wrap this pumpkin in this aluminum foil. Super simple. This is most of these in this video are super simple. And so just going to wrap it up Let me know what your favorite season to decorate for is. I really love fall. Fall is one of my favorites. Thanksgiving is probably one of my favorite. It probably is my favorite holiday, even though it's really just like one day, Thanksgiving Day. But we like to, we travel for Thanksgiving. My husband and I go to Branson every year for Thanksgiving. And I love Thanksgiving. It's just a time of year where we can focus on giving thanks. We should give thanks every day of the year because God is so faithful, and we should be thankful to Him. We should be thankful just for all the blessings that He's given us, but also thankful to others too, and just be thankful and grateful for all the things that people do for us and all the blessings that we have in our life. So you can see that I'm just wrapping this foil around, and I had a little extra piece, and so I'm just putting that glue in there, and it's very forgiving. It's going to be kind of like a little paper mache. What do you call that when you do that? I guess it is paper mache, right? And then we're just going to patch it up, and you can't even tell. We're going to take the dark wax by DIY, just like we did in that other video. If you didn't see that, I'm going to try to leave that linked in the description box below, and you can see that one that I did. I'm going to use this one is called Shipwrecked by DIY, and it gives it that verdigris look, and I love that look. And so then I'm going to take a little tiny piece of a spindle, put some dark wax on it, decided I didn't really like how that looked, so I took some, I believe this is Aviary by DIY, and added a little green to it, because if you look at the stems on, or peduncles as they are really called, on pumpkins, they really are kind of a greenish brown. They're really kind of gross looking. But anyway, I am digressing here. Then I'm going to just fill that up with some Spanish moss, that's what that's called, and put our little stem in, and I think this turns out adorable. I hope that you're enjoying these pumpkin DIYs. If you're new to my channel, my name is Kendra, and you are watching Late Night Creations, and I'm so glad that you're here. If you've been around a while, thank you. Thanks so much for hanging out. Now, let's get back to crafting. Okay, another one of these little pumpkins from Dollar Tree. And this one is going to be a little more labor intensive. Not really labor intensive, but it's going to take a little more work. I painted this entire thing with cake batter by DIY, and now I'm going to do a light brushing or heavy dry brushing of vintage linen over it. I get all my DIY paints and IOD products from Sammy at UnicornDustDesigns. She has a website, www.UnicornDustDesigns.com, and she has all the IOD products, DIY products, Saltwash. She has a lot of thrifted items, a lot of her upcycled items, and she has a beautiful website over there. So I have her linked in the description box below. I encourage you to go and check that website out. Now I'm going to use this mold, and I cannot remember the name of it, and I usually put it on the screen for you, but I will have it in the description box below for you. And I'm going to use the DOS air dry clay, which I absolutely love. I did not like doing air dry clay in the molds until I found this particular clay, and the trick to it is working with it when it's very moist and not letting it get dry. I keep it in the Ziploc bag and don't let it get dry. And I have heard that if you keep a wet wipe or a wet paper towel in there with it, it helps it to stay moist as well. Now when I pull it out of the molds, sometimes I have a little bit of a crusty edge there, and I just tap it down around the edges. Now I have all of these clay molds all out of the molds, and now we're going to glue it to the pumpkin while they're still pliable. So I'm going to use the Type Bond Quick and Thick and a little spatula to get that glue all the way out to the edges, because you want those edges to adhere. Now it looks like this is crooked. on here, but it's really not. Now I'm going to tap very gently around the edges. You don't want to mash or rub these too much because you're going to press out your details. So I'm just going to gently tap around the edges so that it adheres nicely. And I'm going to do that with all of these pieces of these beautiful molds. I wish I could think what the name of this is. I think it's something like Flourish or something like that. But I will put it in the description box in case you're interested in what it's called. Now I'm going to take cake batter with a soft brush while these are still wet. These have probably been out of the mold about 15-20 minutes at this point. And I'm going to take this little soft bristled brush and I'm going to gently, with a lot of paint, I put a lot of paint on my paintbrush, and I'll just move that paint around on these molds. And I'm going to paint them all in this cake batter. And now, when I finish that part, what am I going to do? I'm going to let it dry. And in the meantime, I'm going to take this little peg. I bought these somewhere. I have a whole bag of these. I do not know why I bought a whole bag of these, but I probably needed one for a project. So a whole bag was good, so I'd have some in my stash. I'm sure. Who knows? Anyway, or like my friend Favi says, any hoozle, I'm going to use that as our peduncle on this one. So then I decided I needed some gold on it. So I got the little gold. This is by DIY. It's called Gilded Gold Wax. Gold Gilded Wax. Something like that. And I'm just going to rub a little bit here and there so it just looks like, you know, it's got some of the gold, maybe had gold and some of it got rubbed off, or a little bit got rubbed on, or I don't know. I'm just rubbing a little gold wax on it. If you decide to make one, you can rub it all over the whole thing if you want to. I am not a gold girl, so I was just trying to make all of these look very different. And so I do love this mold. Now, if I had done it, I would have done it in grays and silvers. If I had done it. I did do this one. These are my hands with my unkept nails. But if I were doing it for my house and my decor, is what I was trying to say, I would have done it in grays and silvers. But I do think this gold is beautiful. Okay, so now I needed some leaves, but these leaves were very orange and very yellow and very bright and very whimsical. So I just took that gilding wax and I just dabbed it with a stencil brush. I think this is a stencil brush or some kind of brush. And I just dabbed it all over there and rubbed it in with my finger until I got as much on there as I wanted. I didn't really want it to have full coverage, but I just wanted to tone down those bright colors. Now I'm going to use some of this beautiful crocheted lace that I love and a little bit of that gold ribbon that I got at Dollar Tree and make a little messy bow, just a simple little messy bow. And then I'm just going to put a little loop, simple one loop bow on top of that. And then I'm going to just randomly glue these little leaves around. And I had to just kind of poke them in there, and then I wadded them up in some places to help them to stand up a little bit. See how I just kind of pushed that back there. And yeah, just have to do that. And then this is how it turned out. Let me know how you like the gold pumpkin. Okay, for our final pumpkin in this video, we're going to use this white styrofoam one and some Farm Fresh by DIY, which is one of my favorite colors they have. And I'm going to paint the entire thing with one thin coat because we're going to use some salt wash. We're going to give this some texture. Now, this little thing had been stored in a tote with some other fall pieces from last year, year before. I've had these in my stash for a while, and so it had been a little bit beat up. But we're not going to worry about that. Now, I'm going to make a base. Now, this was an old candle lid, and this is the one I'm going to use. But if you don't have a wooden candle lid, I'm going to show you some options. You can use one of these little round wood bases that you can get at Joann's Fabric or Hobby Lobby for about $1, $1.25, something like that. Or you can get these little wood rounds. You can glue 2 or 3 of them together. You've seen me do that in previous videos. Or you can just use one by itself. Or you don't have to make a wood base at all. But I'm going to use this old candle lid that, you know, I don't ever throw these away because they make great wood bases or wood rounds. Now I'm going to paint that wood base with that Farm Fresh. Now I'm mixing Farm Fresh and Saltwash to give me to give me some texture. And I did the entire thing, and then now I'm going back with what I had left over and just globbing on, you like that good word? Globbing on some extra texture. Now on this, it had this little groove where a little rubber seal was, and I'm just going to take some twine and I'm just going to glue it around that. I'm just going to wrap it around and glue it. I'm going to glue it in a couple places, and then I'm just going to go around and around and around until I get however much twine on there I want. And then I'm going to glue the pumpkin to this little base. Oh, first, I'm going to use my lighter to get all those little fuzzies off of the twine. Very carefully not to start a fire. Now I'm going to use the Tite Bond Quick and Thick. Oh, I have so much trouble. I want to say that the wrong way every time. And some hot glue, and set that right on top. It's still a little wet. I didn't put the texture on the bottom. Okay, I have these letters that I got from Temu. If you saw that haul that I did, I got these letters, and then I have this little tag. I had them in my stash for a while, and I have this scrapbook paper. And I cut these, I traced the tag onto the paper and cut that out, and I was trying to see which one of the tags I liked with the letter and those leaves that I'm going to use. I want to call it florals, but they're not florals, they're leaves, little leaf stems. So I just glued it on there, and I'm using my little finger sander to sand the edges, and then that brush that has the dark wax in it. I didn't add dark wax, I just used what was in there already. And I'm going to do the same thing for the little K. I'm just going to use the dark wax that's in that brush and dark wax the K and the beads. I just put them in my hand and rolled them around with that brush and dark wax the beads and my hand at the same time. Gluing the little K on the tag. This little tag turns out so cute, y'all. And then I'm going to put a tiny little bit of glue on my finger, roll that twine around in my finger, and that glue dries really fast, so it dries the end of that twine fast, and it makes it so easy to push that end of that twine through those beads. And now I'm going to put it through the tag, and then I'm going to put it back up through that hole in the beads again. So here we go. Okay, then I'm going to tie a knot really close to that last bead that we put on. And there's our little tag. Ta-da! Okay, now we're going to set that aside and work on our pumpkin again. So it's all dry, and then we've got that. See, I told you it got beat up a little bit, but that's okay. We're going to put it in the back. I put a little mark where I knew where the front was. Now, I got these. Where did I buy these? I'm thinking I got these at Hobby Lobby when they were on sale. I think. Okay, now I'm going to poke them in this styrofoam, but they are flimsy, so they won't poke in there. So I'm going to use this little skewer to make holes in the pumpkin so that I can put the leaves in here. So I decide where I'm going to put them, and I just poke a little hole in, and then poke a bigger hole in. I have 2 different sizes of skewers. So I'm going to poke that down in there, and then I do use a little hot glue to secure them where I want them. And I just keep cutting them and poking them in there. And yeah, I thought that one was going to poke, but it didn't. And I never claim to be good at arranging florals or leaves or anything. I just do it until I think it looks good, until it looks good to my eye. So I think that's the important thing. If you like it, then, and it's for your home decor, then that's all that matters. So I just kept poking holes until I got it all in there. And then I'm going to use my little bow dabber that my friend Brandy from Making It My Own DIYs gave me. And so if you don't know about her, she's got Making It My Own DIYs channel, and she makes some beautiful things over there. So you need to go over and check her channel out. If you don't know about her, she has a goal to reach. She wants to reach 100,000 subscribers by the end of October, I believe, and she is at 80,000. So if y'all haven't subscribed to her channel, please go over there and show her some love and help her reach her goal. Okay, so I didn't even have to cut that. It just ripped off. So we're just going to fluff it up, and then I'm going to add in a bunch of Spanish moss, and I'm going to go around the base of it, but I'm also going to pinch and poke. I'm going to pinch off the moss and poke it in so that it fills in all those holes. I didn't have to use that many leaves. And then I'm just, I wish the camera angle was a little bit better here. And then I put a little hot glue in to secure things in place. I didn't use a lot of hot glue, just little dot here and there. And then I'm going to glue that bow right in the front. And then I didn't show you gluing the bow, okay? And then I just tied that little tag onto one strand of that bow and just let it dangle. And that one is done. Okay, I promised you scrap wood DIY, and here's our scrap wood. This is just a piece of random scrap wood. I don't even know where it came from. And these are the handles from those foam paintbrushes. Yep, so we use these a lot in Sunday school with my class, and I have them to take the handles off, and we save them. And so I measured them out. I cut them all the same length with my little tiny mini miter saw. I didn't show you that this time. I've shown you that in previous videos. And then I'm going to glue two together, and then I'm going to glue one on top. I'll show you that when I get the pairs glued together, and then we're going to glue the third one on top, and we're going to make some tiny little legs. Just like that. It's just going to be three little pieces of wood glued together to make some little legs. And then we are going to take vintage linen and paint this entire block of wood, front, back, sides, the whole thing. And then when it's completely dry, I'm going to take layered chocolate and barely dry brush a little bit over, just bringing it in from the sides, using the side of my brush to do the edges, kind of like I'm outlining it, just to give the edges some definition. Because we are going to stamp on this thing with the is it called wood planks? What's it called? What is that? I'm doing the same thing on the legs, the same painting technique on the legs. But what is that stamp called? Wood planks, barn wood planks. I think I'm going to show you. Barn planks stamp. We're going to use that with stone gray ink, and we're just going to ink it up. There's several different stamps with this set. I absolutely love it. I get all my IOD products, my DIY products, my Saltwash products from Sammy at UnicornDustDesigns.com. Her website is always linked in my description box. you should go over there and check out her website. She's got a lot of thrifted items and upcycled items to buy, so please go check her out. She also has a whatnot, what do we call that? Whatnot store, whatnot show, and that's a lot of fun too if you're not familiar with whatnot. There's also a guy over there, I think his channel is called Justtrying. His name is Leon. His show is a lot of fun, and he has a lot of really cool vintage things as well. Okay, so now we got the barn planks on, and now we're going to glue the legs. I did the bottom, and I can't decide how to use those stamps. So if any of you have used those stamps with the barnwood planks, let me know how you used them and send me pics. Let me know, because I couldn't figure out how to use those and make them look right. So I'm just going to glue these little legs. I do go back. I had to sand some of them because they wouldn't sit. They wouldn't sit straight. I didn't glue them on straight or something. So I had to go back and sand them, and then I went back and touched up that white paint on the bottom. But I just glued the legs on like that. And this little DIY is done, and such a cute little riser for our pumpkins. Thanks, friends, for hanging out today. Thanks for watching this video. Be sure that you give it a thumbs up, and don't forget that thumbs up. If you look at the amount of views versus the amount of thumbs up, it just doesn't match up. So come on, don't forget to hit the thumbs up, and even if you're on your TV, you can hit the thumbs up. So thumbs up, leave a comment, let me know which pumpkin was your favorite, because they're all very different. But most of all, I want you to remember to be still and know that He is God.